It's called Class Walk with Notebooks After Storm. These puddles floating down the street must lead somewhere, or so I think, but don't tell the whole third grade trailing behind me. Stop to lean on cars or telephone poles, scrawling their sayings on spiral pads or bloody sheets. I want them to stalk their own lives, to see that all of matter matters. And so, outdoors, arms flying into sleeves, down rickety stairs, into rain-wet streets, all eyes and ears with ballpoint pens alert to make sense of this town that's made them much of what they are. A wandering pooch plots afternoon smells. I too lead my students by the nose, exhibiting everything. The basketball oogled by a fish in Don's hobby store window. The candy store's weathered wood, like gravestones, notes a melancholic wood. I can't help but patting on their head. He reminds me so much of my gloomy self at that age. When smile, my parents chirped, smile, and I would answer, what is there to smile about? Write that down, I urge us folks, as we pass the diners, popping with pinball bells. A joke with light. What kind of crazy food could they be cooking in there, I blurt, biting my tongue and begging the muses their forgiveness. Then unto the barber. He's always standing there, a girl at the window murmurs, jotting down his white suit, eternally folded arms, the monumental bald head which ushers us toward the adjacent darkness deepening the funeral home, its dripping canopy like a coffin maw waiting to clamp shut. Each glowing clapboard a stroke of chalk on the blackboard of eternity. So perfectly drawn, the whole shebang might lift into heaven tonight. A turn onto Main Street, we go feasting our flashes of imagery. A stately 1928 engine, fenders drawn by eagles, pulling strands of firehouse gold glides past us. I think of the gold Williams watch, clanging through his darkening city, and his friend Charlie DeMuth painting, gleaming on a fire truck door, among the rain and lights he wrote, like us, skirting the sunlit puddles, the fallen framed sky, and odd nooks and crannies all over town. I look down and see the sky, the clouds. Look at the mirrors at your feet, I shout, thinking how nice to snuggle in a hole the world is made for you. Your job finally through as part of the sky, at last allowed to stare at the home you came from all the time I'm tempting going back. Yes, everything's looking up. A fireman's rubber boot smack in a wavery cloud as he motions that engine, hunks of red and gold, back to its berth, pausing to smile and let pass two nylon women scissoring long legs over a slippery patch of pavement, gliding angelically while we scribble. Some bug bruiser splashing his cuff, ticked off wipes and smirks. That dog, still following us with his long pink tongue, pauses to lap up bits of cloud, his eyes mirroring the chills along the water's spine. The weather itself, crushed by clumsy shoes, regains composure, collecting itself in the mantra of reflection for a haiku. Puddles in the street. At last, the dog gets a chance to see its own face. We halt for mirrors, too, the sundry shop of images browsed by the glare of my own horse face, haloed by the faces of the kids, shows me dawning into the idea that this little town, with its one main street and local shops, is itself a collection of knickknacks balanced gracefully on a shelf in the mind of the boy who lived where I grew up. That is, me, walking around the new town, letting my eye embrace the real, like a hungry rose that gulps a drop of wetness, like the roses that exploded every morning as my grandmother coaxed them with clippers and hose. All of this pleasure I squeeze from the morning's rain and residents around us. Let me tell my students these puddles are fallen stars they must write down, whose light will guide them to where they live on earth, scattered up and down the streets we walk all day, heaven grounded temporarily, the sky, one constellation shy.